Hello there, this is UmbralBahamut, and I am here today presenting to you one of my favorite games of all time, Touhou 8 Imperishable Night, created by Team Shanghai Alice, or more or less Zun, as he goes, because uh, pretty much he's the main guy that does everything with this series of Touhou games here. And he has his company called Team Shanghai Alice, but really it's mostly just him. The Touhou project is a large series of games that encompasses, I think it's 19 now
Wow.
mainline games, and quite a few different side games, and a whole bunch of different fan games and projects and all sorts of things. But the main series, and this one being the 8th game in the series, Imperishable Night, is a bullet hell game. So we're going to be basically piloting a vehicle, and a lot of other bullet hell games would normally be like a plane or a tank shooting down other planes or tanks, but we're weebs, and this is anime, and we have our wonderful magical, our wonderful anime girl shooting down other fairies and evil yokai. The main plot of this game has to deal with the fact of the night and the moon, especially. We want to restore this fake moon that was placed by some person with the real one, because it's driving all these yokai in the night to go crazy, and everyone's going nuts. It's a mess. And other yokai that aren't night yokai, that it's kind of complicated. Kind of gotta read it to understand. But our teams that we can select, you should go ahead and look at them. You should go into the menu here. We team up with, there's basically 4 different teams in this game, and each one is encompassing of a human and a yokai that'll be our team for the game. Each one of these has a different shot type to shoot down enemies with, different mechanics to work with, different movement speeds. We move our characters with the arrow keys, we shoot with Z, and we can switch between characters with shift. And we can use spells or bombs with X, which I'll explain more of that when we get in the game. Yeah, we have 4 different teams here: Barrier, Magic, Scarlet, and Twilight. The one that I am using is the Barrier team. And the reason for that is it's the one that I played the most with. It's the one that is kind of recommended for starters and beginners. And mostly the homing aspect. Both characters in this team have homing shots, so you'll see me basically just kind of, my bullets just go all over the screen that I'm firing, because they just home on everything. And it really helps out with stages. Now, it sounds kind of broken because you home in on everything, but it's actually kind of balanced. The teams themselves are rather balanced, I'd say, in the fact of how their speed works, certain mechanics, and damage output as well. Something like the Magic team can definitely do a heck of a lot more damage to the bosses, but you have to really stay underneath them, which I can kind of navigate and show you more when we get there. Whereas something like Barrier helps me out with just routing out stages and dealing with a lot of the clutter of many enemies and many bullets. That's pretty much like the main background, and kind of to that. I'll be here showing you one of my replays, which the wonderful thing about this game is this game allows you to save replays of anything that you do, whether it just be a single like certain spells or certain patterns, or it be like entire runs like this. It's kind of nice that it has a built-in system like this. So I'm actually allowing Glitched here to just kind of do it from his side and
The battle
go off the
station.
replay. Yeah, I'm in the battle station over here. I name my replays kind of weirdly just to help me remember like what I was doing or what is what. And it also tells me what my difficulties, rank, and everything else was. This game has 4 different difficulties: easy, normal, hard, and lunatic. Hard is already insane enough as it is, but I hope to one day be able to present a Lunatic Clear to other people that I am still currently grinding for.
It's hard, man. These 1 credit clears are no joke.
Bullet hell games are no joke in any sense. This is by far and above, I would say, probably the hardest thing I've ever done in a video game.
Awesome. Well,
And I am just so happy and so glad to present it to all of you here. So let's get started with stage 1, and I will start explaining some more mechanics as we go.
Alrighty, I'll count it down for us and start the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. And let me redo the timer. I forgot about this screen here. Okay. Normal playback mode, right?
Yeah, just normal.
Okay.
Yeah, normal.
3, 2, 1, gaming. There we go.
Okay, stage 1, where the fireflies fly. So there's a lot of different things on screen. My lives and my spells, otherwise known as bombs in other bullet hells or shoot 'em up games. I kind of, on the right, some power, graze, point time. You see me shooting down a lot of these fairies at the very start here. And my bullets, yeah, I don't have very many right now because I don't have a lot of power. That's kind of the main thing of this stage. I have to collect a lot. Now you're going to be seeing me going to the top of the screen a lot here, and the reason for that is when I switch to my other character, even if it's just for like a brief half of a second or even a frame, doesn't matter. As long as I'm at this point of collection, or at the point of the top of the screen, or near the top, I should say, it allows me to collect every single item around me, all my point items, which is very important for collection. Sadly, I can't get them all. And it is actually not possible to get full power on stage 1, even if you do collect them all. But it's not too bad of a deal. We're fighting Wiggle here. Nice little firefly girl. Absolutely love her. We fight her 2 times this stage. We fight basically most of the bosses 2 times. We fight what is called a mid-boss, like right there. And then we fight them at the end of the stage. You're gonna be basically seeing me just kind of casually go through this because I've done stage 1 so many times. Most of this is it's just kind of pure muscle memory. Sometimes I kind of pause between dialogue, but most of the time I'm just skipping it just because I'm just kind of doing runs back to back to back when I'm practicing, really. Or just attempting, really. The interesting things I guess I should really note are how you see like these orbs going back and forth. So like when I'm in my other character, Yukari, here on the when I'm shifted, I can see where my hitbox is. The familiars, or those white orbs, are hidden. They're shooting bullets at me, but they're hidden. I can't shoot them down unless I come out of my slowed down other character state. That's kind of important for later, because there's some sections where I'll have to be really focusing them down before I'm able to slow down and kind of micro my way through. Wiggle, I don't really know what to say about her, really, because a lot of it is pretty introductory. It's staged because this game has basically progressive difficulty. So the patterns progressively get harder, and she doesn't have any of the real heavy gimmicks and mechanics that I'd say are really hard. And right here, coming up here, is what we call a last spell. So bosses are broken up into 3 different things. Non-spells, basic, their basic attacks. Spells, which are have their own kind of interesting mechanics, or more difficult overall. And last spells are bonus spells, that if I accumulate enough time points, which are accumulated for many different means, shooting down those white familiar orbs, certain ways of collecting points, all sorts of different things that aren't too big for a 1 credit clear, but it allows me to fight. They're like this extra just bonus for scoring pattern. I kind of usually skip over them, or I sometimes just don't bother with them because I don't need to. It doesn't cost me any of my resources, any of my lives, or my own spells. Stage 2 here, we're finally at full power, and you just kind of see me weaving from side to side, because I actually just, you have to memorize kind of where certain things come from. And it's one of the neat things about these kinds of games. It's not so much about sight reading. I mean, sometimes, some of it is, yes, obviously. But it's a lot of just practice and knowing where everything is and knowing where I position myself. And so it kind of just becomes instinctual and muscle memory. I know that like certain fairies are on the top, left, or right, and I can kind of more aggressively play and be at the top of the screen, constantly able to collect all my items at the top of the screen and able to shoot everything down kind of instantly. Misty is kind of weird. Her mid-boss appears at the end of the stage, so you just fight her back to back. I'd say that her first two patterns aren't really too bad. I just kind of go in between the gaps here. It looks really tight and looks really tough, but I've done it a few times, so I've done everything in this game a few times. And just kind of microwave my way through. And now here's the harder part. Now here's where things kind of spice up. The first after that, yeah. Her non-spell before her first spell, kind of just how things are broken up again, isn't too bad. But her first spell actually is really hard, and you'll see that in a second here. And it's due to the fact that there's this purple giant wall in the middle, and then I have to kind of micro and sort of dodge my way from side to side, and it's difficult doing both of that while dodging that giant middle burst. And then we're back to something, not, slightly chill. Kind of how these bosses go, kind of back and forth, everything kind of varies. But now you get to see something really cool. Now, Mistia is a Night Sparrow, and she has the power to make the whole damn screen dark. She makes it so, yeah. Here I get hit by a bullet, but I don't actually die. And that's because of what we call last spells. So if I get hit, I have a few frames. It's actually closer to a second with this team. One of its special abilities is to lengthen that border, or that boundary. It uses 2 of my bombs for my spells, but it does release a more powerful one. We try to avoid it because it uses 2, but, I end up getting hit quite a bit in this run. Stage 3 opening also is quite hard. Right after doing 2 back-to-back darkness patterns that are really fun and interesting, Stage 3 opening is just filled with a lot of just really tough routing. It takes me a lot to just kind of route this out, memorize. Routing, kind of just knowing where everything is and knowing where to position myself. This is a good stage to kind of somewhat showcase streaming if I didn't have to bomb. Because a lot of these bullets are actually aimed at me from these bigger fairies on the top left and right. And aim bullets are nice, because I can kind of mess with them more. So Kane here, this mid-boss here, I had to focus down 2 of their orbs, or their familiars, to make sure there's not as many lanes. And I have to do the same thing for the next one, right over here. I end up killing, one of the orbs right on the top right there. And that makes sure that there's one less blue stream. That's important for actually just the whole thing, because it makes it, one less entire line I have to dodge on top of the giant blue ball. Interestingly enough, I didn't hold the text there, which normally would be helpful, because then I can just go up to the top of the screen and kind of focus down things as they come. Something I've kind of learned in hindsight looking at this. A lot of things, actually. But here we are. We focus down a couple more enemies. We got a few more resources and a couple more spells. Hard-on spells are a bit more dangerous, and you can kind of start seeing the difficulty increase with her patterns coming up here. Having to use a spell there is not a really great start. I can say that this pattern is actually one of my favorites, because I just like the way that I have to like switch between my characters so much. This one's kind of funny with all the like little daggers. It really shows like really tight micros with all the daggers. You're gonna see even tighter micro dodges later on. Just they're called micro dodges for really good reasons. Sadly, I had the bomb there too, but got most of it. And that's actually my first death in the run. We'll be seeing that quite a bit. And this one's crazy. This one, like, getting hit from all three sides and the balls. And the interesting thing, however, about them, about the green ones in the middle there, and about all the balls that look like that, the sides don't have hitboxes. Like the outer white area, it's just the inner colored part. Kind of a nice little thing to memorize. I have to use another bomb for final there, but those lasers are just really tough to just manage, so. A big portion of this game also is just knowing like where I would like to use bombs, or about how many. I'm going to use a ton. Well, I use the term spell and bomb interchangeably, because that's how it's used. Because they're called that in this game, but they're called bombs in many others. This stage 4, I don't find the stage portion too bad, because I mostly just kind of lure these aimed bullets over where I want them. Another big thing I should talk about with this stage is it has two different versions. One of two stages that has two different versions. This one and stage 6. And that is because you fight two different bosses. With the barrier team, or the border team, as we're playing here, and the Scarlet team, they fight... no, not the Scarlet, the Ghost team, or the Twilight team. They fight Marissa, which is a witch, and she's on this stage, type 4B. It's pretty much the biggest change, fighting her instead of Rimu, which you fight Rimu, who we're playing as, with the Scarlet and Marissa. So yeah, you get to have two teams fight the other two, basically. Marissa loves to use stars, as you can see. And this is really why she's... I'd actually say that she's a lot harder than the Stage 5 boss. Even though this game is supposed to be incremental difficulty, certain patterns just don't always turn out that way, and her patterns are just some of the hardest in the game, so I end up routing and planning to use a lot more bombs here and try to learn other patterns elsewhere. Stuff like this, like overlapping lines, it's just crazy. I still don't know how to do that one entirely properly. And this is just the basically the first phase, because it's her mid-boss. I actually kind of like this one, even though it's like, you know, everything in this game is really tough. But I like the way I have to like kind of circle around in between here and then kind of go all the way back around. Too bad I didn't get it this time, but here's a more faster section of what we were dealing with earlier in the stage. Sadly, I don't collect too many point items. Now, as I said, scoring isn't really the goal here, it's just survival. It's to get a clear without any game overs, without losing all my lives. However, the amount of points I have there, like I have 614 out of 800, that matters because when I get to the next number there, like I get to 800, that gives me another life. If you've noticed that earlier on, which is important because every life gives me more bombs and more resources, basically. Oh yeah, Starlight Typhoon. This one's a funny one because I didn't actually do the safe strat. There's a safe spot strat if I just go to the top right. I don't know why I went up there and then I didn't do it, but it's really funny because if I just stay up there, she just shoots like completely aimed at me and I can go up, down, and up, down. And I don't have to deal with these like lines in the middle of the screen. I don't have to like deal with like the rest of the pattern. Can kind of cheese it that way. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then, yeah, Double Spark is a funny one. Because it's firing 2 giant lasers that actually shake the entire screen. It's really funny that way. she's not messing around. She's just firing 2 giant volume lasers. The hitboxes on them are kind of weird though. Like you kind of see me not dying and I'm kind of on the outer edge of it. Shoot the Moon is also kind of funny because it looks like she's shooting at herself with her lasers. There's a whole bunch of them. Sadly, I got hit again, but I've kind of learned the timing for death bombing, basically, is what it's called when I get hit. It's actually a decent amount of time because, like, it's almost, I think it's like 50 frames. I think it varies a little bit depending on like certain factors, like if you're fighting a boss or not. There's like a whole math process on it for some reason. But anyway, that was Marissa, and now stage 5. Stage 5, one of my favorite themes. My favorite tracks in the whole game, actually. Actually based on a Japanese children's game or lullaby.
Yeah, I will say, if you don't mind me chiming in just a moment, the music in Touhou games is amazing. It is timeless classic.
The music
classic.
throughout this entire game is phenomenal, and I don't mind you chiming in. I think you'll also find it funny if you look at the fairies very closely. You'll notice something kind of interesting about them. That they have bunny ears.
Bunnies, Pog,
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, we get to fight bunny-eared fairies. Kind of gives you a hint as to, you can probably guess what the boss is of this stage. What's coming up next?
We shall see.
Yup. And these are kind of just nice, slow aimed bullets. That's kind of the difference of this game. Ah, yes. Now this bunny is the bane of my existence. This bunny, I swear I can't learn it.
This is the what's up, Doc?
This one, I can't actually win. I don't know why, she's just really difficult. And they're technically not even considered quote-unquote spell patterns. They're just considered non-spells, but they're just really freaking hard. The section after it, thankfully, isn't too bad for me, because it's all aimed, and I'm like, okay, I know how to do that. I know how to handle that. Oh boy. Now, I actually go left here, and that's kind of weird, because, like, there's already things coming on and shooting at me, but, yeah. Normally, it works better than that, but sadly not this time. And it's kind of weird. Certain things I could definitely say are easier than others, even though I died to them in this run. Just certain things that I have how the attempt goes, really. And we get to fight our lunatic moon rabbit. She's actually from the moon. Yep, the lunatic moon rabbit, and she has some very interesting patterns that you'll just love. You'll love to see. I find her non-spells more dangerous, and that sounds really strange, considering you're just gonna be like, whoa, what's going on here? Well, her bullets go transparent, and I can go through them. And then I kind of go into like this safe spot up top. And that was like a really weird death, because I know that I've gotten that pattern tons of times in practice. It's just what happens, though. I nail it in practice and then I die in a run. That's just usually what happens. But that's also like why I love presenting this game, because it's really fun, really wacky. Like she's more like a puzzle boss, actually. Like a puzzle in a bullet hell game is really, really cool. Sadly, I don't get them. Sadly, I failed them these 2 times, but yeah, they kind of come over you, and then you just kind of go up and have to find a quick safe spot. This is kind of a weirdly aimed pattern. Slightly curved. Man, it's like... And yeah, this one also has some stuff that's aimed straight at you too, but then it kind of comes back around. Just kind of like, oh yeah. And trying to come back up to the top, come back up to the middle before the rings hit you is... it's a little bit of a learning curve. This final one is actually really funny as well for me, because I actually find it harder, in general, on easy than hard. And it sounds strange, but it's because I use these blue orbs in the middle, these little lanes, as kind of visual indicators for how high I'm supposed to go. And on easy, those aren't there, because, you know, less bullets technically makes it easier, but without the things in the middle there to tell me how high to go, or like how many up I'm supposed to go, I kind of lose track. Kind of funny. There's only like a very select handful of patterns that are harder, I'd say, on lower difficulties, but sometimes it happens in these games. And there I selected Route A. There's 2 different routes. There's Route A and Route B. 2 different finals. You have to do Final A and fight a different boss and a different story route to unlock Route B. And that can be done on any difficulty. I already did it on normal, but this is my first time getting to like you're seeing my first time ever getting to like Route A, and clearing it, and clearing any difficulty on an entire clear. I always do Route A first, because technically speaking Route B is more difficult, but I liked presenting this run because the first 5 stages are the same whether or not you're choosing B or A. So I kind of figured showing my struggles and my difficulties and all the things that I found kind of the more challenging, I should say, getting here for the first time. It didn't actually take me as long to get a clear of Route B as it did Route A, just because of how much practice I had on the first 5 stages. Here's an interesting one. I just kind of stay in the center. You don't want to go outside with all those things on the outside there. You fight even the same mid-boss here, Erin. So you fight her on both routes, but the final boss is Erin on Route A, whereas it's a different one on Route B. And you see how I have 3 lives and 3 bombs? I'm gonna be going into this final boss fight. Yeah, we're gonna need all of them. We need everything. Like, if you thought I needed to bomb everything else in this game, this boss will show you. Just absolutely slam. And I just love how pretty the patterns and the backgrounds are, too. Yeah, I got hit by the side there. Yeah, here you just kind of stay in between the blue columns, and you're supposed to kind of just micro the reds. And then Rising Game. Each of these spells have names versus the non-spells do not. Yeah, just kind of bomb that. The way things come around me. Yeah, high contrast. This one actually, when there's that much white on screen, it actually ends up getting my eyes a little bit too. Even I, as much as I play this game, a little bit sensitive to that kind of stuff. Alternating clockwise and counterclockwise pattern here. I find the background of here at this point kind of funny, because it's showing a picture of the real moon landing when we're trying to restore the real moon from the, and get rid of the fake one. I don't know what the devil's trying to say with that one. Apollo. And then this one's named Apollo 13. Yeah, one life left going into the final one. Now this one's really difficult for our team, because normally other teams have enough power to kill all those white orbs, all those white familiars. But our team sadly does not. At least not in the amount of time that I would need. So I end up just kind of switching back here, and I stay, and all of them are hidden, and I try to just kind of have to really micro everything here, and it's a really long pattern. Like, there's just so much health this final one has here, and it gets extraordinarily close because, yeah. The boss herself actually is only shooting 1 ball, so it's kind of funny. Other teams can wipe out all the familiars, all the orbs, and then you just have this little funny ball following you, and that's it. But sadly, this is one of the toughest ones in the game for this team. And that was it. If I took one more hit there, I would have game overed. I was that close. Just
The clutch. Let's go.
yeah, and I just kind of paused there. Just so much feeling and hype. I just felt the energy, just the kill. And then there's the bonus spell, which I don't get. No, I just run into it. I'm just like, no, I can't even. I'm not even trying. It's funny getting full power back at the end there, and you can kind of see my all clear screen here. I get a bonus for rank and bombs and everything else. And that is the clear, and that is the entire run. So many different things, so many things going on. Really hard to explain everything, obviously.
I was way off in fixing the timer, my bad. But it's all good, go ahead.
But I really hope that kind of showed you some more interesting mechanics, a lot of different patterns and bullet types, even just like a first glance, especially with stuff like Misty with darkness, especially with Raisin with like kind of puzzle patterns. Stuff that has so many different bullet types at the same time that you're dealing with. Just so many cool, different dynamic things that I really mentally am kind of playing with in mental gymnastics that the game really throws at me, which I really found so much fun to really keep practicing and determined to really get through it.
Yeah, man, that was a great showcase. Like, especially you said this is like one of your first like live events, right?
This is actually my first real marathon event. I mean, I've never actually really been in a marathon event, and
yeah, dude, you killed it.
Is really
you did a great job
time,
on commentary and everything.
Yeah, giving commentary. It's especially difficult for bullet hells, especially when you're not that familiar with these kinds of games, and I get that you're probably not going to get everything going on here, and even I don't get everything. Even rewatching my own replays.
I mean, you did a pretty good job explaining everything for someone who's just watching. Like, you're kind of explaining how the patterns work, how you have to dodge them.
Demonstrations too. You can see the ghost team here, super wide shot.
Yeah, this is like the demo that plays for anyone who doesn't know what's going on. If you let the game sit at the title screen, it shows you like a demonstration of some of the gameplay.
On Lunatic, of course, because Lunatic's the real gamer mode.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Bahamut. Do you have any like thing you want to shout out before you head out for today or anything like that? Shout out to Mom, the friends at home, anything?
Shoutouts to the entire Touhou project community. Shoutouts to everyone in the Touhou project server, especially. Shoutouts to everyone that has videos on YouTube of this game, because I look at them. I look at all. I talk with so many people in the Touhou project server. They help me out so much with all these tiny little things and different mechanics and things that just how to do certain patterns, how to really navigate, and really helps me with the learning curve, and helps me really not get discouraged either with certain sections, and just take it step by step, because it's a really just building process.
Right. These types of things require a lot of grind.
And that's also why if you go ahead and press that Z. This game has a lot of content too. So after you beat the game, even if you beat the game on normal, there's an extra stage, which is a very long. It's like a super long stage. It takes it's like 10 minutes compared to like the other stages. But it's just one with like a super boss at the end. There's also the spell practice. Oh, I'm sorry that you can't actually go there.
It's all good.
But the spell practice, that allows you to practice all the patterns that are considered spells in the game, which really helps you quickly grind out things. Shoutouts to people that have created even more better practice tools in the Touhou practice patch that allows me to go anywhere in the game, actually, and practice any portion of the game.
Nice.
Allows me to just repeat sections, and it really is super helpful. Shoutouts to this game also having... So, not only do final bosses have really cool things with scoring and the requirements to kill their last spells for extra score, but there's also other patterns too that you can unlock through different means. I don't think there's any that you can actually start with, but I guess you could go to practice start and see.
All right. Let's see. Hang on.
Maybe not. Maybe
funny. Okay.
I think it's underneath just spell practice. Actually, what am I saying?
Why spell practice locked? Just curious. Is it because I personally haven't cleared something?
Yeah. So it's because you haven't cleared anything.
Okay.
But
makes sense.
There's also special unlock spells in this game as well that are basically just super, even more super insane hard patterns that are, let's say, some of them just straight up harder than lunatic spells.
Oh man.
That are called last words. So every boss, like there's certain bosses that all have like special last words, and some are actually from characters that don't appear in the main game storyline, like or they're just special like bonus things that you can kind of practice and see if you can clear them.
Gotcha.
As like an extra bonus challenge. There's just so much content because not only do you have the 4 different teams, but after you clear the game with the 4 different teams, there's you can play as solo characters.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that's like its own level of challenge, huh?
Yeah, because all the solo characters are basically ass. I mean,
just not good by themselves.
Because you lose all the benefits of your team.
Right.
Basically. Like, the way that Rimu and Yukari work, Yukari has all the damage. Like, I was switched, that's her name, the one that I was switched to and, like, focused in on, and I was putting shift a lot of the time. That was the one that was carrying all my main damage for bosses. Without her, Rimu just is shooting, like, pillows at bosses.
I gotcha. All right,
stuff like that.
Sounds good, brother. I appreciate you showcasing this game. This game is sick. Also, your commentary was really good.
It has been my favorite Touhou game I have played so far. Mostly 7, 8, and 10. I just really love those just so much. Just so many things. Yeah,
I'm really glad you got to show off a 1 credit clear here. It was super sick to watch. And this is actually my first time watching like a full Touhou playthrough, so very poggers, man. It's cool that this is like your hobby. This is what you be grinding in the background. That's really dope. Even like, it's different from a speedrun, but it's like kind of adjacent, and how you have to practice so freaking hard and, you know, adapt to what's going on in real time and everything. So it's really sick.
Yeah, because I mean, a single bullet killing you is...
It's brutal.
Yeah, brutal.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get Tatsuya set up for the last run of the night, Persona 5 Strikers. Bahamut, I appreciate you being a part of the event, my guy.
I am so glad to be here. This has been so great to look forward to. I'm so glad that you're hosting this.
Thank you, man.
Thank you all for being here.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, feel free to check me out whenever. I'll be sitting here in the gulags grinding this game forever.
Alrighty, well, I'll go ahead and sign you off. Thanks you again.